गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड इवनिंग डियर फ्रेंड्स। माय नेम इज़ अमृता सोम और मैं आपका स्टडी एट होम के चैनल से वेलकम करती हूँ। फ्रेंड्स, टुडे वी विल डिस्कस अ इम्पॉर्टेंट लिटरेरी जॉनर दैट इज़ कॉल्ड ड्रामा। Drama is a literary composition which develops through the help of dialogues and actions amongst the character on the stage. Students, drama begins with a background called exposition. Friends, today we will try to understand the structure of the drama with the help of this chart. As I told you, drama begins with a background called exposition. Exposition is the beginning of the story that introduces conflict, character and setting where the drama takes place. And after the exposition, our story moves towards the rising action, and the rising action includes the events before the climax where the character attempts to solve the problem but they fail, and rising action is the point from where we directly move towards the peak point, and that is called the climax. Friends, climax is the turning point and the point of the greatest suspense or action in a story. And when we reach on climax, the story is already on the peak of its deciding point, where we can see the suspense, we can see the second phases of the character. And then after the climax, the following action gradually start, and the following action include the events that occurs after the climax. It may be happy or it may be sad. The final stage in a general theme is called resolution. In a comedy it is denouement, and in tragedy it's called catastrophe. And basically it is the end of the story where the conflicts or the problem are solved in the end by the character on the stage. Friends, if we talk about the development of the drama basically depends upon the four type of plays, and that four type of plays were developed during the Elizabethan period, and they were the miracle play, mystery play, morality play and interlude. In our modern language we call it interval between the story. So friends, first we will see the miracle play. The miracle play, this type of play dealt with the life of saints and the miracle performed by them. The theme of this type of play was the life and the sacrifice of saints. Now we will see the second type of play, that is called mystery play. The mystery play depicted the theme of the Old and the New Testament of Bible. And some popular mystery plays are the Christ Nativity and the Death on the Cross, like Last Judgment. If we talk about the morality play, in these plays the personified virtue and vices were dramatized, and Satan was personified as vice and God or Christ as virtue. Actually, these were allegorical plays. Some popular morality plays are Everyman and The Castle of the Preservance. Now we will discuss about the interludes. The interludes, as I told you, in our modern language we call it interval. The interlude were written primarily for the entertainment of the audience. The interludes were short entertainments that were inserted within the longer plays. Subsequently, they become independent plays too. Some famous interludes are The Pardoner and The Friar. And the second important interlude is, this is very well known, The Disobedient Child. Friends, drama can be further classified on the basis of the theme, like comedy. Comedy came into being in ancient Greece as a play. A comedy is a stage play on light. amusing, often satirical character, chiefly representing a romantic or a realistic story with a happy ending. The fortune may play a cruel role in a comedy temporarily. The first English comedy was a Ralph Roister Doister in 1533. It was a classical comedy by Nicholas Udall. A comedy may be divided into following part: the romantic comedy and the comedy of humor. We can remember these points. A comedy is a fictional work with a primary focus to amuse the people, and there is no deeper concern in comedy. In comedy, we are made to feel that no great disaster will occur, and the action usually turns out happily for the chief characters. We can see some example of comedy. First, A Midsummer Night Dream, As You Like It. Friends, comedy may be divided into following part, like romantic comedy and the comedy of humor. England had two kind of comedy. The first one was Shakespeare's romantic comedy, and the second type of comedy was Ben Jonson's classical comedy. Romantic comedy is basically a love comedy which always ends in the happy marriage of true lovers. It aims at the total effect of pleasure and good humor. Here, romantic comedy includes some characteristics, like romantic comedy written with the style of romanticism. The features plot focusing on the love affair between the flawless heroine and the virtuous heroes, and in romantic comedy they are ideally suited for the each other and presented as too good as to be true. In romantic comedy, love affair has ups and downs but always ends with happy ever after. In romantic comedy, not a lot written today in the truest sense of definition. We will see the comedy of humor. This was adopted and practiced by Ben Jonson. It deals with ordinary characters with four humors which govern individually temperaments according to a medieval theory. The excesses of any one fluid humor make him sanguine, cheerful, phlegmatic, calm, choleric, ill-tempered, or melancholy, sad. The mixture of these fluids determines the character of a person. Therefore, each major character has one or the other humor. In this type of comedy, the playwright satirizes men and manners of his day. Here we can see some popular comedies of humor: Every Man in His Humor by Ben Jonson, Every Man Out of His Humor by Ben Jonson, and Eastward Ho by George Chapman. Now we come to the comedy of manners. After 1660, England saw the emergence of a new comedy called Restoration comedy, or the comedy of manners. It represented the ridiculous aspect of mankind and the agreeable showed them on the stage. It held to ridicule social manners, and so it is also called the comedy of manners. It has ridiculous violation of social convention by stupid characters, jealous husband, and intriguing wives. The middle class of Elizabethan period reacted against the immorality and the indigency in the comedy of manners. This gave birth to a sentimental comedy, which style of the comedy that became very popular during the Restoration in England 60s, sometimes called Restoration comedy or the drawing room comedy, and influenced by the comedies of Moliere. Friends, the middle class of the Elizabethan period reacted against the immorality and the sensi in the comedy of manners. This gave birth to the sentimental comedy, which revived wit and gaiety. Some famous comedy of manners and sentimental comedies we can say here: All for Love by John Dryden, Love for Love by William Congreve, and The Way of the World is the most important sentimental comedy written by William Congreve. So thank you friends. If you like my channel, please give me thumbs up.